SongPond TV.
Hi and welcome to SongPond TV. Today we're going to go straight into this music store and we're going to check out some great electric pianos. Okay, so as I said, today we're taking a look at some different models of electric pianos. Remember last week we looked at some must-have features and some luxury features that you can look for in a piano. And we talked about the difference between an electric piano and a stage piano. And sometimes you can get a bit of a blend between the both. Remember, a stage piano is something that doesn't genuinely have speakers on the top of the piano, so it's not so good for practicing at home, but it's really good for outputting to a PA when you're performing. So this particular model I'm sitting at right now is the Yamaha P70, and this is kind of a middle of the range piano in terms of a lot of piano brands. Yamaha is a very trustworthy brand. It's one of my favourites for electric pianos. It retails at about $1,500 New Zealand, which is between it's about $750, $800 US. So it's a decent price, and the great thing about this model is it has fully weighted hammer action on the keys, and this is something that is really important when you're looking for an electric piano, that you're wanting it to mimic a real piano as much as possible. Whichever brand or model of piano you are looking at, there are certain things, as we discussed last week, but we're going to go into them in more detail, certain things that you need to look for in an electric piano for home use, so for practicing your pieces at home. One of the first things is we're looking at the action of the keys. Do they feel real? Do they feel like a real piano? So I'm going to play some chords. And so that's a reasonably good weighted keys, and that's you want to maybe jump on a real piano in the music store and see how that feels, and then jump on the electric piano and compare that feel so that you can get a real hammer action as possible. These particular keys are fully weighted, and you can get semi-weighted or half-weighted keys, and they're not as good. Another thing you need to be looking at is the dynamic range of the keyboard and the velocity of pressing the keys and creating that louds and softs and the dynamics in your music. So if I play quite loudly, obviously it sounds loud. I'm pressing hard on the keys, and I can play quietly, and there's that difference in the dynamic range. Whereas if you're on a keyboard that hasn't got that dynamic range and the velocity, then you're going to get basically the same volume throughout. One other thing you need to be looking at is, does it have a realistic sound? By that, do the speakers portray the feeling of a real piano? When I play down the bottom, does it sound like the sound is coming from that end of the piano? Because really we're thinking about a real piano and the strings being hammered when you press a key. So the strings are being hammered down this end, so the sound comes from that end. Same if you're at this end. Then you can hear the piano coming from this end, from this speaker. So that's the realistic sound that we're talking about. Okay, I'm going to hop onto a different piano now. We're going to look at the CP300, and we're going to go through some more functions that you can have a look at on a piano. I'm sitting at the Yamaha P140 model, which is a couple of models up from the P70 we just looked at. And again, it has got the similar grand piano sound and the fully weighted keys, which we were saying before is the closest likeness that we can get to a real piano. This particular piano retails in New Zealand dollars at about 2,500 New Zealand dollars, and in US is about 1,250. So another thing that we want to look for in a piano is the polyphony, and that's we talked about this last week, and that's how many different keys you can play at once, basically, on the piano without it starting to cut out some of the bottom keys. So a way to do that is play a chord or an arpeggio up the piano, keep the pedal down, and listen for that bottom note. And the sustain pedal is holding all of those keys, and if it's got a high polyphony, then it's not going to cut out those bottom notes as you go up the keyboard. So that's something to look for. This particular piano has a few more functions, and that's one thing that is nice when you're looking at a piano. A lot of these electric pianos are very basic, and they've got a few great grand piano sounds, and the feel is great, and that's the main thing that I would look for, especially if you're a beginner pianist. Those are the main things. But if you're wanting to experiment a bit more, you're going to be wanting to look at some effects and some more geeky sounds, which we're going to take a look at a keyboard now that has more of that kind of thing. Okay, so I'm sitting at the Yamaha DGX 230 now, and this is less of an electric piano and more of a keyboard. And this has got, hasn't got the weighted keys as much. It says slightly weighted, but not very much in that, so it doesn't have that realistic piano feel. But it has got a nice grand piano sound, and also it's got a lot more bells and whistles, basically. Right, okay, now I'm sitting at my personal favourite, and this is why I've left it till last. This is the Yamaha CP300. Retails at about $5,000 New Zealand, so that's about 2,500 US. Gorgeous, gorgeous piano sounds. Sounds so realistic, so much like a grand piano, and it's got the fully weighted keys. It's got some really decent speakers, which is excellent, because that was one of the other things I was going to say about electric piano, is you want to know if you're going to have to get an extra speaker system. With this, you could probably, if you wanted to perform to your friends and family, then you could probably get away with just using these speakers and cranking up the volume without having to get your own little small amplification system. The other awesome thing about this piano, I'm raving, but it's brilliant, is we've got a full damper pedal, and I'm just going to try and grab this up for you. Proper full damper pedal, and the difference between this and your normal switch pedal is that it doesn't slip away. It's a bit more sturdy, and you've got your half pedal and your full pedal options there. You've got your pitch modulation, your modulation wheels, and your volume modulation wheels, which are also really good. You can get a little bit geeky with that, and we've got a lot more sounds to play with. So this is a really great model if you're wanting to invest in an electric piano. But then if you're a beginner, of course, you might be wanting to go for something more basic like the P70. Also, on the different scale of things, we've got that behind me here, we've got the Clavinovas, which are really good for home use, and they are great, sturdy piano with the fully weighted keys and a great piano sound. The only reservation I have about these is that they're less portable. So if you decide you want to take it with you on holiday or go and play in a hall somewhere, it's pretty heavy and pretty hard to transport around a lot. So these kind of electric pianos, or stage piano, the CP300 is more of a stage piano, are really good because they're more portable. And the other thing I'm going to say about your electric piano is try and get a hard case. You're paying lots of money to get a really good keyboard piano, and a soft case is cheaper. You can get them for around $30, but it's really not going to protect your piano, so try and get a hard case with decent handle. And that's all the pianos we're going to be looking at today. I hope you've enjoyed having a wander around the music store with me. I've definitely had fun. We're just going to end here, and I'm probably going to be here for a couple more hours playing this beautiful piano.
SPTV, proudly brought to you by SongPond.com, where you learn to play your favorite songs.